You can fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You can have all you ever wanted.
This week on the show, we have the director of Wolfhound, Michael B. Chait. Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for watching. This show is all about giving you insights and showcasing brands that help you to live your best life and give you confidence. As always, I want to kickstart your morning with some motivational advice to help you to feel inspired and energized to start your day. Today, I want to talk about the importance of understanding that change can feel uncomfortable, scary, and even painful when you initially start. But the reality is, it's not in the times we tried and failed that is the source of our pain, but rather it's the regret of never trying at all. The truth is, doing anything outside your comfort zone doesn't feel pleasant when you start, as our brains remind us of all the possibilities and dangers that can unfold to prevent us from experiencing pain. But when you begin to realize that change is the only constant and it's completely essential for your growth and progress, the idea of change then becomes less scarier as we become more keen to tackle our fears daily. Successful people dwell in possibility and don't allow the initial feelings of uncomfort stop them from pushing the boundaries of their comfort zone. They push through the fear and dwell in the possibility that taking a risk will bring an even greater reward. Make it your mission today to commit to tackling a goal that you've been procrastinating on doing because of the fear of the unknown. Whether that's booking a trip to travel or switching careers to something you're more passionate about, take the leap. As Deval Gaudier quotes, the only thing that is stopping you from where you are to where you want to go is your comfort zone.
Stay tuned. Coming up after the break.
And let's talk about your movie, Wolfhound. I mean, it's an incredible movie. I had a chance to watch it, and it's produced by Lionsgate as well. So let's talk about that. That's huge. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, and I'm like genuinely thank you for watching it, and I'm thrilled that you liked it.
I loved it. Yeah.
It was definitely the definition of blood, sweat, and tears to get it done, and the way that movie started is actually from a commercial in 2013. I was lucky enough to be directing a commercial for the Yankee Air Museum in Michigan, and they have a B-17 Flying Fortress bomber from World War II.
Wow.
Beautifully restored, like it looks brand new. And there's only 9 of those planes left flying in the entire world today.
Wardrobe provided by H&M. Next up on the show, we have Michael B. Chait, the director of the World War II action movie thriller Wolfhound, released by Lionsgate, featuring James Maslow and Trevor Donovan.
One man can make an impact on this war. Just maybe not the way you think.
Too easy.
Let her rip! Nazi violence!
Michael, thank you so much for being on the show today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much again for having me. And yeah, I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to talk about Wolfhound. I actually watched the movie. It's incredible, by the way. But before we get into your success, let's talk about your story and your passion for storytelling. I know it started when you saw The Rock at the age of 12. So tell us about that.
That's very true. You have done your homework. So what happened was, as a little kid, I originally thought, okay, I either want to be an actor or I want to be a fighter pilot. And I think that, fighter pilot came from my father, Steve Chait. He is a pilot in real life. And so I was exposed to aviation from a very young age. And then as soon as I saw The Rock directed by Michael Bay when I was 12, something literally went like that in my head. And I'm just like, oh my God, like I've never noticed the camera work, the lighting, the movement, the style, the tone, the emotion of what the director was doing in a movie as much as I did when I saw that. And I just thought, like, that is what I have to do for the rest of my life. Like that
wow.
just, it connected with me immediately. And I've just been on that journey ever since.
And since then, you've had extensive director experience. I know that you directed a video for Apple to Ape from the Black Eyed Peas, who we also had on the show. So let's talk about that experience.
Well, that was that came out of nowhere. 2 weeks before we shot it, I got a phone call from a friend in LA, and I met them through some of my other misadventures out there trying to get into the film business. And he said, "Hey, we have this cool music video, and we want you to direct it for Apple." And I was just like, "Yes, absolutely." Like I didn't know what the song was. I didn't know any details. And they were like, "Okay, you need to be out here in 2 weeks, and you need to plan the whole thing. And here you go." And so as soon as I hung up, I'm like, "Oh God, this is a lot to put together." But he turned out to be one of the coolest artists that I've worked with. His like every single take he did, and I'm not just saying this to blow smoke up his behind. Like he was effortless. It was just like, okay, do this and do that, and it was just like clockwork. And the song was called Mama Filipina, and it was about his mother, and she actually makes a cameo in the video, and she was there on the set with us.
Nice.
And we shot it in like 2 or 3 days in a crazy schedule in LA, and I'm still really proud of it today.
Well, we had him on the show, and I can attest to that. He is a great person, very genuine and authentic, so I can imagine it was great working with him.
It was. The only thing I kind of regret is, and I don't think I've told this publicly, but you remember the Nintendo Wii and Wii Bowling specifically? So he had a Wii at his house, and I was like, "Oh, I noticed you have this," and I challenged him to a game of bowling, and I kept beating him, and he had to catch a flight. And his assistant and his manager was like, "Apple, you need to stop playing the game. Like, we need to get you to the airport." And he's like, "No, I'm beating this kid." I just kept.
Oh wow.
So I kind of, sorry, Apple, all these years later.
I want to talk about what were the first steps you took to get into the entertainment industry, because obviously it's a very difficult industry to get into.
It really is, and I mean, I wish there was a ladder, to get in, like many other industries. Like, okay, you start at A and then you go to B, and even though some unions and some trades within film and entertainment do have more of a ladder system, it's different for everybody. And what I did is, first thing I did was I started making movies in my backyard, with my friends in high school. And every weekend that I possibly could, like, convince people, let's make a short film, let's do this or that. And that was just to teach myself the basics. And then I went to film school at Columbia College, Chicago. That was invaluable, both because of the things I learned that I didn't know, but even more so, the friends you make and the crew. And, I'm sure you've heard this, like, networking is everything. It really is, because I think 5 or 6 of the key, like, department heads on Wolfhound, my writing partner, one of the producers, the editor, the DP, the composer, the visual effects supervisor, I went to college with all of them.
Oh wow.
And those relationships really, if you find the right group of people, that's one way in, because eventually somebody's going to hit something and then hopefully bring the team. But really what I did after college was I jumped into doing any commercials and music videos that I could. And it started small, and eventually I kind of got larger clients. And once I got enough of a reel together that looked, cool and exciting, and also had some good, solid pieces of work dramatically, I was able to start pitching, "Hey, who wants to help me make a movie?" And so it just, one thing kind of led into another. But I gotta say, like, the biggest thing is, and I'm not trying to sound cheesy, but it's very hard. There's a lot of no's, there's a lot of doors that close in your face, and not taking no for an answer, and just having the passion and the fire to just keep trying no matter what. You know, like this is my first movie. I'm 37. Some people are lucky enough to have their first movie at 22. You know, but I didn't give up, and I kept at it, and now I'm talking to you. So
Yeah, I mean, incredible. I love everything you said. It's so true. First of all, this industry is so small. So even for me, one of the first TV stations I worked at, my producer actually was someone I went to college with. It's such a
Really?
small world. Yeah, it's such a small world. And I love that you started small. You said that you would film, you know, mini videos in your backyard, and you worked on your craft, right? Because that's also important. It's not just to expect to get into the industry and, you know, you're not going to get a film right away. It's a process. You really have to put in the work. As you said, no, I always say no means next opportunity. So I love that you said that. You just have to have the grit, the determination, and here we are. So I think everything that you said is incredible. And let's talk about your movie, Wolfhound. I mean, it's an incredible movie. I had a chance to watch it, and it's produced by Lionsgate as well. So let's talk about that. That's huge. Congratulations.
thank you so much, and I'm like genuinely thank you for watching it, and I'm thrilled that you liked it.
I loved it. Yeah.
It was definitely the definition of blood, sweat, and tears to get it done, and the way that movie started is actually from a commercial in 2013. I was lucky enough to be directing a commercial for the Yankee Air Museum in Michigan, and they have a B-17 Flying Fortress bomber from World War II.
Wow.
Beautifully restored, like it looks brand new. And there's only 9 of those planes left flying in the entire world today. So it's like literally a historical artifact. And I stepped on board because I was location scouting and trying to plan out, you know, the best camera shots and what we're going to do. And I'm not exaggerating, like a wall of emotion hit me when I stepped onto the plane, because I was looking at the same spaces on the floor where the real, you know, 18, 19-year-old guys in World War II were standing, fighting, you know, the Nazis. And, you know, many of them either getting wounded or, you know, giving their lives for literally the freedom of the world. And I thought 2 things. I thought, okay, this commercial has to be really good. And I also thought, like, I think there's a movie here. I think that I can make something out of this. And so we wrote a screenplay based around a bomber crew. And then that evolved into, you know, basing it around a Jewish fighter pilot. You know, I'm a Jewish man. I come from a very, you know, a Jewish family with strong roots in Detroit and in Canada, which I'm sure we'll talk about very shortly. And I wanted to feature a strong Jewish character and really present that as our lead, and that's who James Maslow plays. And I just really wanted to make something that both honored those guys and honored the greatest generation, but also, like, my favorite movies are like 80s and 90s action movies, right? And so I wanted to do something I've never really seen before, which was kind of merge like a golden age of Hollywood, you know, war movie from the 30s and 40s, which is very old-fashioned, with, like, you know, stuff like, you know, Schwarzenegger and Stallone movies and Top Gun and Star Wars. And so it's a very interesting mixture. And the first step was writing the script with my writing partner, Tim Ritchie, who I went to school with. And he wrote a beautiful screenplay. And then the next step was we had to cast it. And we got, you know, speaking of not taking no for an answer, we had 9 months of rejections from every actor imaginable. Like, we went for, like, you know, very high end, like starting at the top. And then finally we got to James. So I started researching James, and we sent him the offer, and it was on his grandfather's birthday, which we did not know. And his grandfather flew B-17s in World War II.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it was like serendipity. And he was like, I think I need to do this movie. And we talked on the phone, and literally the next day we were in pre-production making the movie. Like, it happened like that. But, you know, after like 4 or 5 years of going for it. So it was not overnight, but again, just we persisted at it. And as soon as we got his yes, everything just started flowing, and we were shooting like 3 months later.
Wow, that's quite the story. I actually also interviewed James when he was in Toronto. He was doing a play called Sherlock with David Arquette, and
Really?
I had a chance to meet him, and he's also a very humble, attentive, authentic person. So I love that he plays the main character in this movie. And I have to say, from the beginning to the end of the movie, I was on the edge of my seat. Everything was so beautifully directed. It was really an amazing movie. So I really, congratulations again, because I know this was your first major film, and it's quite the film. And let's talk about the partnership with Lionsgate. That's incredible.
I'm literally still pinching myself that happened. And first of all, James, everything you said is true. He's become a very good friend of mine, and he's the coolest. Like, he's very down to earth. He's just like a good guy at heart, and like a very just like normal, regular guy. Like, even though he has, the rock star, pop star life, like he's James. Like,
Yeah.
and that's so cool. Like, I love working with people like that. But Lionsgate actually happened out of nowhere, and like I was praying for Lionsgate for years, because we made the movie without any distribution deal. We made it totally independent, and that's kind of risky, but it's like I kind of knew, like, for us to pull this off, we kind of need to just do it and then say, here it is, because like I didn't think anyone would believe that what I was like telling them and what I had in my mind would be possible on a lower budget. And so once we had the final version of the movie, through some mutual friends of Sue, our producing partner, they got it to Lionsgate through a guy named Mike Rudnitsky, who's a long time person in the distribution world in Hollywood. And the right person at Lionsgate, Stan Wertlieb, saw it, and he's produced like almost like 150 movies. He's ridiculous, and he called me up. He said, I really like the movie, and we talked about 3 or 4 times, and we got a friendship going as well. And he finally said, okay, you know what, I really love the movie, I'm gonna pitch it to the board of Lionsgate. And of course I went like, oh God, okay. It's like I have to breathe into a paper bag. And they loved it, and everyone started like getting excited about it, and that was about 9 months ago, and working with them towards the release, just to get it in theaters, to get it, the right artwork, the right marketing, the trailer, and they did a fantastic job with everything. It's honestly been like a very surreal half a year, because like every day I'm waking up like, is this really happening? Like, is our movie really going out with Lionsgate now? Like, is this really gonna be our distributor? And I won't lie, like it was in theaters a few weeks ago, and I kind of like went to a few theaters in the back row, just to like watch people's reactions. And when it comes up like on the screen, I'm just like, I can't believe this is in a theater. Like, this is literally a dream come true.
Yeah, even when I saw your name when it first started, I felt excited. I was like, wow, this is, I felt excited for you, because, I mean, it's a big deal, especially your first feature film. That's such a big deal to have Lionsgate as a partner, and it's such an incredible movie. So, and how does it feel to see all of the fruits of your labor come to fruition with this movie and seeing the final product?
Absolutely nuts. I literally remember the experience of shooting it like it was yesterday. And, behind the scenes, it was definitely, a smaller crew and a smaller, just a smaller set in general most of the time than you would think for the scale that we did. And I've always loved big action and big movies and big visuals. So, like, we worked overtime to make it look like there was like 500 people there, every day. But sometimes there was like 30 people, sometimes 100 people. And so like, just like remembering the experience of filming it and just going through post-production during the pandemic, which, I mean, that definitely slowed things down. And we did all our post-production remotely. My editor, Shanina Maria, who did an amazing job, She edited in Los Angeles while I'm in Michigan, and we did a lot of stuff over Zoom and Skype, and it was definitely a process. But like now that it's out, honestly, like Surreal doesn't even cover it, because like I've literally been dreaming of this since I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
And to see, my first movie up on a screen, and to see it on Amazon Prime and on Apple and all the streamers, and it's like, oh my God, like the public is watching it now. It's just like it's like I don't want to sound too Hollywood, so to speak, but like it is so awesome. Like it is the coolest thing ever. But it's also just, it's really weird, like sitting at home thinking like, I wonder how many people are watching this right now, and it's just, it's a blessing. I couldn't be more thankful.
Mm-hmm. And it just shows, right, that hard work pays off. If you keep at it, eventually you will see success, right? If you just keep at it and you keep working. So I think this is living proof of that. James was an amazing character, but also Trevor, I've never seen him as a villain. So this was really interesting to see Trevor as a villain. And I think he did an amazing job. So let's talk about his character as well.
Well, Trevor Donovan, he is awesome. He's also become a close friend, and in real life, he is the nicest person in the world. He's nothing like his character in this movie. And that's actually one of the reasons he was excited about it. No one's ever really had him play a bad guy.
Yeah.
And, he's so famous for not only 90210, but all the Hallmark movies and the Lifetime movies. And I've seen I think 5 or 6 of them by now, because he's in like 2 or 3 every year. And he was so excited to step out of that zone and just like show his range as an actor. And the character is a really despicable person. I mean, he's vicious. He's like the epitome of just a Nazi bad guy. And it's actually it's an interesting story how he joined the film. Another actor was originally cast as the villain. But unfortunately, they had a medical issue and they had to drop out of filming, and we had 4 days to replace him, and we were scrambling, like we didn't know what to do, and we're filming, and I'm filming scenes, and we don't know who our lead villain is, and so that was a little stressful.
Wow. Yeah.
And I've heard of that happening on $100 million movies, but they can afford that a little bit more. So James actually said, you know what? I got the perfect guy. And it was a friend, a director out in LA that said, you got to use Trevor Donovan. And I got on the phone with him and I talked with him for an hour. And literally 4 days later, he had learned a German accent.
Oh, wow.
The costumes were altered for him. He built the character in his mind.
Wow. And
he stepped on the set. And the very first thing he had to do was the scene with the most dialogue in the whole movie. And I felt so bad because it's oh God, we can't reschedule it. This, he has to do it.
Yeah.
And after the first take, I was just oh, thank God, this guy's amazing. And he was just he was so cool and so on and so nasty. He was so mean in the movie. And he was actually worried, I don't know how my fans are going to react to this, but then I've seen a lot of people saying oh my God, you were so great as the villain, and the weirdest comment, this is so this is mind blowing to me. I'll go on YouTube oh Trevor, I loved you as a Nazi so much, and it's that sounds a little weird, but I know what they meant.
I actually was really surprised to see his character because I'm used to seeing him in the Hallmark Channel and, all of those romances. So it was actually really interesting to see him step out of the character and do something out of his comfort zone, right? So I loved it, actually.
Awesome.
And Michael, I want to talk about, I created this platform to inspire, to uplift, and showcase success stories like yours. So for maybe one of our viewers watching that's not seeing the success, that's putting the hard work in but not seeing the fruits of their labor, so to speak, what would you say to encourage, uplift them to continue following their dreams?
Well, filmmaking is definitely one of the harder businesses to get in. And I mean, I think, music, acting, theater, anything in the arts, and this certainly happened to me, and I think it happens to everybody. When you decide, I want to go into the entertainment business, and you really believe in yourself, there's always going to be a bunch of people that say, oh, that's not a good idea. You should be a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, something that's like more stable with a 9-to-5 and a paycheck. And honestly, I think the very first piece of advice and the best piece that I could give, and this is still true for me today, you have to never stop believing in yourself. You have to, and I know that sounds like a fortune cookie message, but it's like literally, you need to keep that fire. You need to keep that passion and that drive, and whatever inspired you to want to go in to whatever field or chase the passion or the dream that you're going for, don't ever forget it, and always remember that feeling. Always call it back in your mind if you're having doubts. I have doubts every day. Everybody does. Spielberg has doubts before every movie. There were times when we were filming where I'm like, oh my God, how are we going to even complete this? And we're falling behind schedule, and we're losing the light, and this isn't going where that. It's like, there's going to be ups and downs along the way. And it took me a long time. It was a long journey, but along the way, I really treasure, everything that I ever filmed, everything that I ever, every meeting I've had, every person that I've gotten to be friends with, as I've climbed up that ladder. And I think there's always going to be someone saying no. There's going to be more people telling you no than yes. Yeah. I can't tell you how many people said, oh, don't make Wolfhound. That's too hard. Start with something smaller. Start with something that's not so crazy and that's less expensive, even though we were on a shoestring for what we did. Mm-hmm. And truly, it's like you need to listen to your heart and your soul and tune that out and do it anyway, because eventually something is going to happen. It's like you don't know when. There's no way. I mean, I was hoping it would have happened sooner for myself, but I wouldn't trade how it happened for the world. And I think that's honestly the best advice that I have is just keep going. Don't stop.
Aw, that's great advice. I got goosebumps you saying that. Yeah, because it's so true. It resonates with me because it's such true advice, especially, sometimes you have to listen to your own voice, and not everyone knows what's best for you or what you have envisioned in your mind, right? So you have to believe in yourself and keep going and stick to the plan, even if you're not seeing results right away. If you keep working, it will happen. So I think that's great advice. Michael, thank you so much for being on the show today. Congratulations again on all your success. Wolfhound is an amazing movie, and I can't wait to have you back on the show for your next big movie.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. And I guess I talked too much to get to it, but shout out to my Canadian half of the family around the Toronto area.
I mean, the CN Tower is right there. Yeah. Next time you're in Toronto, you have to come into the studio.
Absolutely. You bet. It sounds great.
Tag TV is available on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple and Android TVs, as well as on Apple and Android phones. Watch us live through YouTube and Facebook.
You can fly higher than